Are you moving to Toronto but aren't sure about the process of renting a house, a condo, or an apartment? Well, you're in luck because I've been helping a ton of people just like you do just that. This video is really for anyone who is thinking about moving to the city, but what spurred me to really create this are all the people I've been helping get settled in Toronto recently who've been moving here from out of province or out of country. Hey guys, my name is Morgan Little. I'm a realtor here in the Greater Toronto area who, on top of helping wonderful people like yourself find a home, also makes videos like this one to help you understand the world of real estate. If at any time you want to discuss your real estate journey or just want to pick my brain, feel free to book a call by clicking my Calendly link in the description below, and I look forward to chatting. Now, let's talk about rentals. Okay, so you've got your plan to move to Toronto because you've been accepted to school, or you got your dream job, or maybe you're just seeking adventure. Toronto seems like a great place to start. You've been browsing online at realtor.ca or Toronto Property Finder, and I know it's exciting, but it can get overwhelming. Which area of the city should you live in? Prices are crazy. How can you tell what's a good deal? Is there going to be cockroaches and bed bugs? Is it close to transit? These are a lot of questions that you might have, but slow it down. First thing first is you want to find a good realtor who can help you. Let's say, for the sake of this example, that I'm that realtor. I'm going to ask you things like, why are you moving here? What do you be doing when you get here in terms of work or study? What kind of budget did you have in mind? How many people will be with you? What's most important to you in finding a place to live? The more information that you can provide, the clearer picture I can have when finding a place that suits you. All of this will help me set up an auto search for you so you can get sent out listings as soon as they hit the market. On top of that, I'm going to do a search and handpick some places that I think match your criteria so you can give me your thoughts on what you like and what you don't like. And once we find a couple places that have potential, we're going to set up some time. We're going to go out and do an exploratory tour and view them. Now, if you're obviously not in the country, then I will be going out. We'll do a video walkthrough so I can take you through the place, and any questions you might have, you can ask them then and there. So let's say we found a unit that you like. The way it works is we're going to have to submit an offer, just like you would if you were buying a place. The items you'll need to provide are your government issued ID, a recent credit check via Equifax or Borrowwell. Now, obviously, if you're not from Canada, you won't have this, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Employment letter, again, same as the credit check, you may not have this, but we'll talk about that. But if you are from Canada, you will require a credit check. Obviously, the higher the better, as well as the employment letter. And then you'll want to provide at least 3 recent pay stubs, as well as references. These can be personal or professional, preferably somebody who has known you for some time and has some sort of standing in their community. And then once we get all those documents together, we're going to fill out an offer or an agreement to lease, as well as a rental application and any schedules that are supplied by the listing agent, which are documents outlining any additional terms that the landlord would like to address. These things can range from a couple small items like no smoking, no pets, to a laundry list of things depending on how picky the landlord is. And that may stem from issues that they've had in the past with tenants, and now they just want to cover their butts. Once we fill all that out, get it signed and initialed, we submit the offer and we wait. It's then up to the landlord to either accept, decline, or counter the offer once the listing agent presents it to them. If we do get an accepted offer, you will then have 24 hours to send in the deposit money to secure your spot. At this time, we will then sign a standard lease agreement, usually for a term of 1 year. After the first year, tenancy generally becomes month to month. Another requirement will be to provide proof of insurance. This will generally have to be presented in the days leading up to occupancy, along with the proof of utility account setup. When it comes to utilities, some units will include them and some will require the tenant to pay for heating, electricity, and water. And then some may include heat and water and leave the hydro or electricity up to the tenant. Okay, so now let's talk about this. What if you don't have credit or employment history in Canada? Or if you just have bad credit, because I've had clients deal with that as well. Well, it's pretty simple. Money talks. If you're coming here, then you should be expected that you will have some sort of savings that you're coming with. So in order to get an accepted offer, you'll likely have to pay a minimum of 6 months, but maybe more likely a full year's worth of rent up front. Currently in 2023, landlords, especially those who own and rent their condos, and especially in sought after areas like downtown Toronto, are being very selective. The Landlord Tenant Board heavily favors tenants in this province, and many landlords have been burned, forcing them to be extra picky when choosing the right tenant to live in their investment property. I, as a landlord, can sympathize with this, as I've had a tenant simply stop paying with no recourse whatsoever. So I get it, but it can make it difficult for renters who have every intention of paying their rent to find a place. So I always preface, when starting out on this journey, it may take some time, so have some patience and don't take anything personal. I'm right now working with two clients, a couple who have a near perfect profile as you can get. They're both employed, make a combined $130,000 approximately a year, have 750 plus credit scores, and have all the landlord and employment and personal references. We've submitted 8 offers and been declined 8 times for a variety of reasons, from some landlords just wanting to rent to single young professionals, not a couple, to just having competing offers where maybe somebody else had better credit score or potentially offered more prepaid rent in addition to the first and last month's deposit. But side note, fingers crossed, we have one in that I think will get accepted today. So it goes to show that patience and persistence pays off. But like I mentioned, depending on your profile, you may want to seriously think about offering prepaid rent. If you're moving here from another country, then it's almost a foregone requirement that you will need to pay a full year's worth of rent up front. Without credit or employment history, this is the only way that landlords can be sure that they will receive their rent. Technically, they can't require this, but they can simply not accept your offer if that's not included. You may get away with as little as 6 months. And I had a client who this worked for recently that moved here from Turkey, but it all depends on the landlord. And no, that doesn't mean that you just don't have to pay rent for the first 6 months. Whatever amount of deposit that you give will be held to the end of the lease, and it'll go towards the last months of the lease. So for example, if you paid 3 months prepaid rent upfront, that would go to cover the last 3 months of your lease. I understand this can be a lot for people to wrap their heads around at first. I was speaking this week with a family from Winnipeg who's moving here, and I explained to them that they may want to consider paying for multiple months up front in order to get an accepted offer, and they were quite shocked. But the fact is, Toronto is a competitive market for buying and even more for renting these days, as the last year or so of price increases and then interest rate increases has pushed many would-be first-time home buyers into the rental market. I really hope this video has been helpful and helped outline some of the criteria that it takes when renting a place in Toronto. If you have any questions whatsoever about moving to Toronto or just in general, like I said, book a call using that link below, and I look forward to connecting. Till then, stay well and stay hungry.